Welcome, Mr. Kalyan. I am so excited to have you here today. You had such a fascinating experience, journey across industries and roles. And I know our listeners will learn a lot from you and your experience. Like going to your career journey, you had worked across companies at very different organization growth stages, from startup to large enterprises. How does talent acquisition strategy shift as organization scales?
Okay, thank you, Ishwar, for having me here. So, for me, talent acquisition is very different from company to company based on the stage of the company is currently set. In a startup, obviously, the speed and versatility really challenges when it comes to the talent acquisition. For example, you're expected to hire people immediately within months, so that product can be delivered, etc., with some versatile background, who are also can be generalist kind of background, so that they can wear multiple hats on the job, etc. And TA is really scrappy here, right? So you have to really find your networks, build more referral systems to make sure that you're getting the right profiles in time. Otherwise, when there is no brand, it's very difficult for you to really attract the talent. But when it comes to scale-up environments, for example, Flipkart, where I worked, the quality and scalability is really important. So you can't compromise on the quality, because there are repeated engines of pipelines you got to generate. So the quality is really important, and also the scaling, because the process systems are already little set. You got to really bring and create new structured processes, etc., etc. You can't compromise on certain things when it comes to the scale if a company like Flipkart. But whereas when it comes to large enterprise organizations and consulting organizations where I work, like Sapient and Oracle, the story was completely different, because you got to have proper compliance and governance in the processes what you build. You got to build that scalable systems which can readily bring a lot of talent in like that. Now, otherwise it's going to be very difficult for you to set up new systems and processes in a company where you don't compromise on certain compliance and governance, right? So how do you make your interview process more structured, scalable, so that you can cover a lot of volumes in no time? Otherwise, yeah, as I mentioned, it's completely different from company to company based on the stage where they are in. Even in startup also, you have Series A, Series B, Series C, and accordingly you have to really plan your strategy. For example, we are a Series C company now. Tide is a Series C company, so we are actually kind of between the pace and quality at a larger scale. For example, I have to really build my TA strategy, TA global strategy for 2028, correct? So to make sure I'm ready for future challenges, what are the location strategies I need to be building? Because I know this company is really growing fast, and we might become very scalable company in the next couple of years.
Understood, sir. That's a very interesting perspective. Like you had mentioned, you had worked across industries as well, like consulting, e-commerce, and SaaS and fintech. Like what perspective or mindset that you had adapted while transferring from one company to other company?
Yeah, I think there are three things always help me. If I have to look back and validate my journey, one is definitely learning agility. And in that learning agility is also one thing really helped me when I shift from Oracle Sapient to a company like Flipkart, where you got to really unlearn a lot to relearn. So if you don't do that, then you would come with a lot of biases and from a previous experiences. The things which would have really worked in Oracle may not work in a company like Flipkart.
True, sir.
So that has really helped me. And the second is you need to be really empathetic towards your stakeholders, plus in your team also. And the biggest challenge I always face, and I will face in my future as well, how I balance that, aligning my goals with business goals, right? So I always give extra 10% of weightage to the business goals, because there has to be a starting point, right? If I understand my business goals very well, then I need to know, and it will be easy for me to really map my team goals and my individual goals to those business goals, so that I always stay empathetic. I always ask questions like, why this hiring manager is asking to fill these roles in next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. What is the business purpose here? What is the ultimate goal, what we're trying to achieve, etc., etc. That has always helped me. Third, but not the least, growth mindset. Okay, so whenever I have I made a shift in my career journey. So it's not like a startup for me, right? So it's like adding additional lens of how I want to build that journey with that company, considering my experience, build that experience, bring that experience back to this opportunity, and see how you can readjust, rebuild certain new nuances in your career journey. So that growth mindset always helps me to build my career, not only my career, in the companies I built. So in Flipkart, I've seen a growth journey from 1,200 to 3,000 product and engineering talent in India. In Tide, when I joined, it was 1,200. Now it is 3,000 people. So that's a massive growth for any startup from at this stage and across global locations. I always take the pride of it.
Got it, sir. I love that. You said adaptability is so crucial, that is especially today. And that naturally connects how we think about hiring people. When hiring today, what's more important, skill, cultural fit, or potential to learn and grow?
So for me, potential to learn will definitely come first. That is because in this changing world of AI, if someone doesn't have that an attribute of learning agility, then that person is really going to be a big failure in the future. So as per World Economic data also it proves that by 2027 half of the skills will be replaced by new skills. So obviously people should have the potential to really learn easily and adapt to that new things. So when you have a potential, automatically you will develop adaptability, curiosity, and problem solving. Those are key attributes that anyone should have in this change of AI perspective. And the second, cultural fit is also important, but it doesn't mean someone is just a fit culturally. So culture fit should be not like a filter, just more of an amplifier for the organizations, right? And that is also very important. So for me, I would say, so hire first for potential, and then focus on the skills required, especially for leadership roles. You definitely need a certain skill set. If not, then it's very difficult for the person to elevate in their role, right? And culture fit is also important. So followed by little focus on values, the company values. How. Especially for the leaders, how they bring new value in line with the company values is very important. Otherwise, the leaders are really going to fail.
That's a valuable point. And of course, technology is changing how we can approach hiring. Like as you mentioned, AI. Like with AI reshaping recruitment, where you think human recruiters will continue to add most value over the next decades?
Okay, so for me, AI has already replaced a lot of things like screening, the way we do interviews, etc. But one thing AI cannot replace is that human intelligence, correct? So especially when you're hiring some senior leaders outside, only recruiters can really understand what are those important traits which are required for the role to be hired in the organization. So for me, AI will definitely help in elevating the recruiter roles. So recruiters are no more called as the sources or just screening and filtering profiles. Their role will change as a strategic thinkers, talent advisors, influencing hiring managers in their decisions, what they make, not just sourcing and screening profiles. So I see that this is a good change. Happily, proud to say that AI is positively helping us to spend more time in becoming a talent advisor rather than just being a sourcer, a transactional recruiter in any organization.
That's a valid point, sir. Like you are mentioning that AI will be acting as a catalyst rather than replacing the recruiters.
Correct.
And you even mentioned that hiring senior leaders. What qualities do you think or look for behind technical expertise when you are hiring a senior leader?
Correct. So for me, the first thing again, the learning agility. That is very important. The leaders I've seen have failed who did not adapt to the new learning strategies in the company. For example, I've hired people from different industries to different industries. Even in Tide also, we've seen people failing, quite unfortunate, because they've not tried to adapt to the culture, to the people thinking, etc. So that is very important. And second thing is how they can be more empathetic leaders, because if you don't as a leader can build the trust and relationships with the networks with the people, not just with people, even with the customers outside. So automatically you will be not of a success in any organization. And third thing is the leadership, and then humility is very very important. I would see the leadership quality and humility. So I would say humility is very important, because someone will have to really accept their failures, and then open for feedback from the team. So if you're not accepting your failures, and your team also will be really really hesitant, and you're not building that psychological safety within the company, right? So that is very very evident for me to build great leadership in the future.
That's powerful, sir. Because you had mentioned leadership is the completely really do set the tone for the organization, and adaptability and understanding the with like peers and their subordinates with emotional intelligence, that plays a crucial role. And coming to the next thing, like about your educational background, you're an executive MBA at IIM Calcutta mid-career. How did that experience influence your leadership style?
So, frankly, the program from IIM actually came at the right time of my pivotal journey of my career. The two things definitely has really helped me change or shift my mindset. That was one is I started looking problems and challenges from a systems point of view. So until then, I was only focusing on a functional aspect and operations aspect. So when I started looking at from systems perspective, that has really really changed my mind, and my strategy is completely navigated in a different direction altogether. And the second thing is that it also helped me to develop my leadership towards leadership style towards influencing without authority, correct? So especially in a mid-age career stage, when you're actually building your leadership style, so you go towards more of a directive stage rather than just enabling your team to make sure that they become more independent, right? So that has really helped me to not just be a problem solver, also multiplier of the solutions, how it is really really helping me to build and change my status quo. So overall, the growth mindset after that program has really shifted and enhanced my career in a different direction altogether.
That sounds transformative, sir. For others listening who want to keep learning while working, can you please give an advice? How did they choose learning right opportunities while balancing their work?
Yeah, it's very important to focus on your continuous learning, right? And especially when you're working and learning is not easy. I think there are 2 to 3 things one must really really focus. One is to just try to understand how relevant it is for your next 2 to 3 years of growth journey, and then how you can sustain that change, right, in your profile, because you're learning but you're not really really trying to implement. So if you don't practice those learnings because of your busy schedules, you'll not be able to really compound that very well at your work. And the third, the most important thing is, what is the return on learning, correct? So you should be able to really measure that, and time to time, whether the learning is really really helping the future goals, what you have kept for yourself. And don't keep long term things in just 2 to 3 years checkpoint. If you have a 2 to 3 years goal, then just keep a checkpoint of a monthly goal, and you can always go back and just stop if that learning is really not helping. Then you have to move on to the next step.
That's a great advice, sir. Like basically you were saying like short term and very short term goal, and we keep on adapting to how the nature is treating us and how we are learning.
Correct.
It's a great advice. And many of our listeners are entrepreneurs.
Good question. So for entrepreneurs, the talent is very important to you, correct? So you got to focus on hiring people with right attitude and right potential or pedigree. Honestly speaking, that's my take. Why? Because all the time roles will change, and job descriptions also will be evolved, right? So you need to be really really focusing on hiring those first top guys who are just coming to add a lot of value and work to build your systems and products. Also focus on clearly communicating the kind of messy journey you would expect during these next few years, right? Because the startup is not a easy journey to be part of it, right? You got to really communicate. It's going to be messy. The only messy things will be expected in the next couple of years. The clear expectation has to be really, really clearly said, and also hire first 20 strong people who can build the culture of right DNA for the organization. So that those people will clearly stay with you and grow with you, and also bring the right talent for future.
That's such a fantastic advice. A perfect note to end on. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. Your insights on leadership, hiring, and the future of work were very incredibly valuable. And I know our listeners will take a lot of practical wisdom from your journey. It's been a real pleasure having you here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.